Today we're going to be talking about ratio rates and unit rates. So first let's start off by talking about ratios. A ratio is a fraction. It'll come to you in a couple different ways. As your book gives examples, I'm going to kind of explain that to you here. It can come in English, so it'll say the ratio of, what do I have here, 15 hours to 20 hours. Now it may also write it, instead of the ratio of 15 hours to 20 hours, it may simply say 15 hours with a colon, 20 hours. That's the same as saying 15 hours to 20 hours. Well, in math, we don't do those two things. We actually write it as 15 hours over 20 hours, or 15 hours to 20 hours. Now, in math, and we've already discussed this in chapter 2, our fractions work exactly the same. So it doesn't matter whether we call it a ratio or rate or a unit rate, our fractions work the same. So 15 over 20 does reduce to 3/4. And what we're going to learn out very, very quickly is that hours divided by hours, or anything divided by itself, is 1. So our hours actually reduce also, still leaving us with this 3/4. And basically what we're saying here is if a ratio has 15 hours to 20 hours, we're saying for every 3 hours something it takes for something, the other one will take 4 hours as well. So 3 hours to 4 hours is the same as 15 hours to 20 hours. Now a rate differs very, very slightly. And the example the book gives is you can travel. All right, and we've all traveled places. Now, for the most part, in the United States, we travel in miles per hour. So we're going to do this guy. We're going to go 297 miles in 4.5 hours. Now, we're going to set this direct up right into the math problem. So if we're traveling 297 miles in 4.5 hours, we're traveling 297 miles in 4.5 hours, which is where we actually get miles per hour out of. All right, and if you do the math on this, the 297 actually does reduce. There is actually 66 over 1, because 4.5 times 66 gives me 297, and this is still in miles per hour. Now, we even simplify that a little bit more because anything divided by itself really doesn't matter, but we still have to have that unit of hours. And so we get 66 miles. And how we like to read that, right? Per means to divide, so we got that fractional bar there. And hours, so 66 miles per hour. So as we look back, really the math all works the same as far as how we do the division, the fractions. What you're going to notice here, though, is whenever we're talking of rates, we will have the same units. And if they don't have any units at all, they're the same units. When we go to a rate, notice how we have a difference of units, or in different units. Okay, so that's really the only difference between ratio and rate. Now, as we go on, our book will also discuss one more thing with us, and that is the unit rate. And the unit rate is no different than reading that little orange label at Dillon's or Walmart or wherever you go buy groceries in the upper left-hand corner. So if the bag costs $1.13 for tortillas or whatnot, up to the unit rate, because you only have 10 tortillas in a bag, it'll say like 11 cents. And that's 11 cents per unit, or per, in this case, tortilla. So let's do an example out of the book. So they've got DVDs, and you buy a bunch of them. So for $114, you get 12 DVDs. Well, the math here works exactly the same way. So we're not changing the math. All we're changing is the English around it. So this is still $114 for 12 DVDs. So now you can kind of see, because we're in different units, this is a rate. However, if we reduce this and leave it just as a rate, this guy actually works out to let's get that a little bit better, $19 for every 2 DVDs. But nobody ever walks around the street saying, yeah, I got a great deal. I got 2 DVDs for $19 or 19 halves dollars per DVD. They don't say that kind of thing. What they actually do is go a unit rate. So we actually want this guy on the bottom, if it's a unit rate, to be 1 unit. So we're actually going to divide, and we really don't care what's going to happen to our numerator as far as a fractional or decimal amount. So 2 goes into 19, and we actually get $9 or $9.5, right? $9.50 for every 1 DVD. Or you can write this as $9.50 per DVD. So unit rate, we're actually looking to see how many times that thing actually goes to where we can get to a unit of 1, or my denominator of 1. So I'm taking 19 divided by 2. If I wanted to make this problem just a little bit faster, I could have very easily have taken 12, how many times it goes into 114, and it would have kicked me out that 9.5 number. But we're in a rate, so please don't forget the units.